talk about music with Eric Douglas, who plays in local punk rock band. Indications. Eric talks to us about playing shows in that scene and working with local promoter Russian Tim.
You know why it probably is because you and I initially started connecting just talking generally. Punk rock, local promoters, Russian Tim was one of the first people I think that we were speaking about and probably have referenced each time you cut my hair. So
let's talk about Tim. All of a sudden recently he's blowing up all over my Facebook page. So what exactly, who is this guy? What does he do?
Okay, so as far as I know Tim, anyways, I think this guy is one of the most potent and much needed kind of forces in our local punk rock scene. Dude is a total powerhouse of energy, time commitment, financial commitment, just, going above and beyond to kind of make a scene happen in, adverse times and circumstances, with there being less venues, less places willing to book live punk shows, and just finding the resources and places for bands to play, and then consistently kind of, I think, finding a stable of bands that he has a working relationship with, and then kind of booking these people in different combinations as much as he can, which is amazing because we need more people like that in the city.
For sure. He also has a show on CITR, is that right?
Yes, which is also Rocket from Russia.
Okay, how long has that been going on for?
At least, I think, 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
Maybe, something like that.
And then also, did I also see that he's been doing a fanzine?
He did one fanzine, like the first one of hopefully many, in tandem with the Rocket from Russia Fest, which was its, I'm going to get it wrong, 3rd annual, maybe? 4th annual? Not quite sure. But this was the first time he tried to do a zine. It was fantastic. Every band contributed one page of material. Some bands did anything from like a music lesson to kind of a photo collage to reviews of the film Dead End Drive-In, in the case of the band Dead End Drive-In. We were kind of scrambling for something because there's obviously a bit of work to be done when it comes to graphic design and like high resolution, full page something. It was actually a visiting client of mine who's now a good friend from Austin, Texas, who was, in his very Texas way of framing it, like, man, y'all know those cheesy, terrible ads for lawyers on billboards on the side of the road in the States. Y'all should do like a fake one of those and have it as if it was an ad in this magazine. And what we didn't know at the time was there actually was going to be ads in it. And we were like what appeared to be the first page of advertising, but it was actually our little bit. It worked out really well. It was a lot of fun to do.
I need to research a lot more on Tim and actually get him to come in as a guest. It's something that I've been thinking about. You're somebody that's
started playing violin at a very young age. It was something my mom was studying when I was 3-4 years old, and I kind of got a hold of that and started what would then become a pretty rigorous, like Royal Conservatory Suzuki method, kind of very rigid classical training with like a really hard-ass Romanian dude from the time I was 4 till I was about 15, I would say. As you come up playing violin, you also got to do piano and then do the complementary theory stuff, like I think up into harmony and things, but rigorous practice schedule is something that was taking up quite a bit of my time outside of school. And, in hindsight, I think it was great in terms of creating that kind of methodology of practice and getting better at a particular instrument, as well as just laying a really competent foundation of like general musicianship, rhythm, stuff that feels innate, but for friends of mine who are now taking up music is like a big kind of challenge to overcome. So I'm pretty thankful in hindsight that I kind of stuck with it through those kind of early years. I had just kind of started getting into epitaph punk bands at the time, Rancid, Bad Religion, those kind of acts. I think that those Epitaph Punkorama compilation CDs were really eye-opening for me, with like 25 different Epitaph bands on them, to just kind of discover a lot of these acts I would not otherwise have found. Yeah, and I think I discovered Nirvana pretty soon thereafter and got really heavy into them, and that was kind of one of my first exposures to guitar once I got a hold of my own electric, was just starting to learn every Nirvana song and get a hold of. I do remember the first song I actually learned on guitar was a song by Gob, who I actually have a ton of respect for as like a Fraser Valley kind of institution of
for sure.
pop
Lots
punk.
of success with that band. A lot of great songs, really great records.
And dudes that are still, as far as I know, at least most of the band is still in Vancouver, in and around. They came up out of Langley. So as somebody from Chilliwack, that was like, whoa, those guys are they're making it. They're touring up and down the West Coast. They're from, the greater Vancouver area. Absolutely. I do also remember being not allowed to go see Gob play at some shitty hall in Chilliwack. I was probably in like grade 7.
Oh, okay.
And I think, for whatever reason, my parents thought it would be too crazy of a mosh pit or something. So it would take a couple years before we'd start going to shows at the Hope River Hall.
Right.
And I had kind of started my first band and was kind of in contact with some of these other musicians that were playing these shows. And I remember I saw DOA there. I think I was in grade 10, which was pretty special, I think, at the time.
So Indications started when?
I think if Indications started in 2016, I want to say. I joined the band in 2017. I had seen an ad, so I want to find a punk band, I want to play bass. That was the goal. A car, I have gear, I have some level of musicianship. I mentioned, I want to find a good project. A random lady that kind of sketched me out at a mall was like, no. I wanted to ideally join a project that has some material already kind of arranged. They need a bass player to fill a role, and they're going to be playing some shows. Like for me, I really get off on playing live, and I want to play as much as possible. I think it's probably different for every project. Like something else that this project had going for it, which many don't, is having a dedicated rehearsal space. They were renting at 333 on Terminal.
Yep.
So that was also helpful. I could move my gear right in. I had a secure place to leave my stuff. We could rehearse a couple days a week. When you don't have that and noise is an issue, you're trying to deal with somebody's basement in suburban Vancouver, that, depending on the circumstance, can be kind of a shit show. And I think where that comes from too is that with other projects, I was definitely like, as a guitar player, some, co-songwriter was like much more in the driver's seat, in the administrative driver's seat, where coming in with other projects that I was already working on, my intention and hope was that I could find somebody else is wearing the C in the team sports sense, and that I can kind of step in and play more of a support role, which I was able to achieve with this band, which was great. I think my instinct can sometimes be, well, shit, I want to move the ball up the field here and work angles. But in the case of this project, it's kind of already established. Dudes have their roles that they're trying to work on. So it's partly me just kind of finding my niche within this group of individuals. Is like, right. What are my zones to kind of contribute to?
What's next for Indications?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So we've actually, since we kind of came off a high, we just played Rocket from Russia Fest the third night, which
let's talk about that. How was that?
That was one of my favorite musical events that I've been able to either attend or participate in the city, I think, since I moved here.
Okay. Who was on that bill the night you played?
The night we played, I think Pet Blessings played the night before us. It's all kind of a blur because we saw 18 bands over 3 nights. I know that Anthems played the night we did. I think Anteater played the night we did. Greatest Sons, You Big Idiot, and Stranded Hitchhikers. That was the first band, which is kind of a new band, which I think has Christy Audette from Wrong in it.
I had her in last week for an interview.
Sweet. Yeah. Right on. That was fun. It was pretty high energy. A great, very receptive crowd that's there to see a punk show rather than, a random showcase where a funk band just played. Maybe it's not quite the same environment. Like the Astoria, to see 6 bands play rapid fire 20-minute sets is like perfect. One particularly a chance meeting, which also to me established there's some health still to the scene, was meeting Orville Lancaster, the drummer from the band Bishop's Green, and going quite soon thereafter to a Bishop's Green show and seeing, holy shit, these guys have filled the Wise Hall, which to me was that's a big accomplishment. But after then speaking to Orville and him saying, no, man, we play small shows in Vancouver, we go play a 5,000 person stadium in South America or Germany. This is not our market. We just exist here. That was also pretty cool for me. And I have yet to connect with him to kind of pick his brain a little bit, but just so they can basically run a commercial and international vinyl business out of Vancouver as well as tour. He said they played 150 or 200 dates the last calendar year, not in Canada.
This is actually my most serious question. If you had the opportunity to choose between 2 powers, one would be to have a portal where you could go anywhere that you want for 1 year. The other one, for 1 year, you have the ability to fly. Would you choose the portal or would you choose the ability to fly?
I would 100% take the flying ability. But I had this ability to levitate if I kicked my legs really hard, as if you were treading water with no hands and you had a cinder block tied to you. It's something clearly in my wiring that wants to do that. The spirit is still alive and well. It may be a bit more challenging, and we're not booking these shows in church basements anymore, but it's pretty rad to see that we could still, put together, be a part of and participate in the scene that has all these different complementary bands playing with each other, for each other. Seeing that really be embodied at this Rocket from Russia Fest was, to me, it felt very gratifying to be part of this. I felt really thankful that I was able to kind of carve out this niche with Indications and kind of accomplish a goal that I had set for myself and felt good. I feel optimistic for the next year or two being here and continuing to play.
Thank you to Eric, and check out all the links below and go see live local music. Thank you for listening to the marQuo Show.